So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that you backed your boat into the garage a little too far and it happens to have this exact shape. Well, we're going to show you how to repair this hole and any hole over 4 inches in diameter and make it as good as new. All right, so first step, grab your stud finder. We're going to mark the studs on the left and right on both the top and bottom of our repair. All right, now that I've got my studs marked, I'm going to create a line from stud to stud about an inch or two over and under my repair section. All right, now we're going to grab our jab saw and we're going to cut stud to stud before we make our vertical lines. And notice the point on your jab saw. It's specifically designed so that you can puncture into the drywall and you kind of wiggle a little bit. That's going to help us get through. All right, so now we've got the edges of our studs. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut vertically, but we need to be right in the center of the stud. So we're going to take from where the edge is, we're going to measure in 3/4 of an inch because it's 1.5 inches wide, that stud is. So I'm going to measure in 3/4 of an inch from each of these. And I'm using the 2-inch mark because this is in the way of my first inch. So, all right, now you can take a level or any straight edge and we're just going to draw a vertical line. I've got a screw in the way over here, but if I use the flat edge, we can see it. Don't worry about all these marks you're making because they're going to come out in the wash. All right, now in order to cut out the vertical sections, we're going to use a utility knife because we can't get our jab saw in because the stud's back there. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a really careful score first, and then we're just going to keep going until we break through it. All right, now you gotta do your best to save this because we're gonna need it. Next, we need to make our actual patch. Before we do that, we're gonna put a couple of boards in here to support it. You're gonna cut either 2x4s or plywood, either one works. You wanna make sure that these have enough room that you can screw into them above and below, okay? So usually about 4 inches is a good rule of thumb. 2 of them in here by the time it's all said and done. So we're gonna make our drywall patch, and this one's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt because this ended up being in so many pieces. What we wanna do is trace the repair piece that we took out. If you're in a position like this, what you wanna do is estimate a little large because we can always take material off, but we can't put material back on. So set it up as best you can. Take your carpenter's pencil here and do your best to trace the outside edge. And again, we're gonna give ourselves some extra room here because this is definitely not a perfect piece that we're working with. And then we'll take some material off at the end. All right, now that you've got that, you can toss that section, okay? So notice what we have is a piece that roughly matches what we took out. And again, I'm gonna cut outside a little bit here, particularly on the 2 sides and the bottom here where we weren't as accurate, just to make sure that I haven't taken too much material out. We're gonna do this with our utility knife. And drywall is pretty easy to work with. Score all the way in from the side. Oops. Try not to move my level too much. All right, and here is our patch piece that we know is going to be a little bit too big. We've done that intentionally. All right, so now we're playing a game of check the fit. And I'm doing my sides first. You can do top and bottom first if you want to, whatever. And once you're close, make sure you don't force it. Okay, we're actually going to use a sander to start shading. And the big thing is you want to make sure that we are not pushed into the wall or sticking out of the wall. It'll be really obvious, so make sure that that patch actually fits in that space. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to hit the corners, and then because this patch is so big, I'm also going to put a screw here, and then we're going to hit 4 more into this section. Now that the patch is in place, it's time to first tape it. This is drywall tape. We're going to put it over the seams. We're going to cover the holes. It's okay for this to overlap. Now that your tape is on, and notice this is a mesh tape. It's going to prevent bubbling and all that kind of stuff from happening to us. Now we're going to use joint compound, and we're going to mud over all of our seams here. This is actually going to be a 3-step process. We're going to put some on today. It's got to cure overnight, and then we're going to sand it tomorrow. We're going to put on another layer, let it cure, sand it the next day, and then a 3rd layer. And each time we're going to get a little bit thicker around our repair here. All right, so here's our almost finished product. We actually put some cream colored paint on here so you could see where the original patch was, but this is nice and smooth. We didn't put any texture on it because this is in the garage and the homeowner didn't want it. If it was on the inside, we'd want to try and match the texture as best we could. But if you have any questions about how to patch this, or you have any comments for us, please leave those in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.